Today, we're diving into a really strange medical mystery. It's a story that starts with something as common as a mosquito, but ends with a life-or-death battle happening inside the human body. We're talking about a pathogen that made a shocking leap across the tree of life.
So think about this for a second. It sounds like a riddle, right? You've got mosquitoes on one side. Then you have patients whose immune systems are weakened and they're suffering from this just devastating illness. What on earth is the link? Well, it's not a virus and it's not a bacteria. It's something way, way more unusual.
The culprit, it turns out, is a microscopic parasite. This thing has spent eons perfecting the art of living inside insects. But now, it's found a new and tragically vulnerable host, us. So let's properly meet our antagonist, Anncaliia algerae. Now, this is what's called an obligate intracellular parasite. And all that means is that it literally cannot survive or reproduce unless it's inside a host cell. Its natural home, its comfort zone, is inside insects like mosquitoes, especially the kinds you might have heard of, like Anopheles and Culex. Okay, so why are we suddenly seeing this in people? Well, here's the crucial part. Anncaliia algerae is an opportunist. It doesn't just infect anyone. It specifically targets people whose immune systems have been turned down by modern medicine. You know, the very therapies that are designed to save their lives by preventing organ rejection or taming autoimmune diseases. And this is where the story gets really interesting, because there was this huge scientific plot twist. For decades, we had the fundamental identity of this organism completely wrong. For the longest time, scientists thought the group Anncaliia algerae belongs to, called microsporidiae, were a type of primitive protozoa. And that's because they were missing mitochondria, you know, the little powerhouses in our cells. But then, two game-changing discoveries were made. First, they found these tiny remnants of mitochondria called mitosomes. And second, they found chitin, the exact same stuff you find in the cell walls of fungi in their spores. This discovery just completely rewrote the textbook. So here it is, its true identity. Anncaliia algerae isn't a protozoan at all. It's a highly evolved parasitic fungus that has basically streamlined its own genetics to become the perfect cellular invader. And this isn't just some boring academic detail. It completely changes how we think about fighting the diseases it causes. So how in the world does a fungus that lives inside mosquitoes actually make its way into a human patient? Well, its journey is a real testament to just how tough its spores are. The most likely route, by far, is from the environment. See, when an infected insect dies in water, it releases just countless numbers of these durable little spores. A person can then get infected just by coming into contact with that contaminated water. But that's not the only way. Spores can also get in directly through a cut in the skin or an eye injury. It's even been suggested that you could potentially inhale them, especially in cases involving lung transplant patients. Now, once a spore finds a target, its attack is just incredible. It has this coiled-up structure called a polar tube, and when it gets triggered, this tube fires like a microscopic harpoon. We're talking incredibly fast. It punctures the host cell and injects the parasite's guts, called the sporoplasm, right inside. Once it's in, it goes into a phase called merigony, where it just multiplies like crazy. Finally, in the sporogony phase, it produces thousands of new spores, which fill the cell up until it bursts, releasing them to go and infect other cells. When this cycle really takes hold in a human host, the results are devastating. It leads to a condition called necrotizing myositis, which is basically a severe inflammation that causes muscle tissue to die. The symptoms are widespread and they are severe. Pretty much every patient experiences this deep, dull muscle pain and just profound weakness. And that's usually on top of fever, fatigue, and major weight loss. In some cases, it can even affect the tongue and the swallowing muscles, which creates a huge risk for things like aspiration pneumonia. And here's the really insidious part. Anncaliia algerae is a master manipulator. Research shows that while it sets off certain alarm bells in the host cell, it's also simultaneously sabotaging other key defense pathways. It actively shuts down the very inflammatory response the body needs to actually clear the infection. It basically lets itself thrive completely unchecked. So, you're faced with this incredibly clever invader. How do doctors even find it, let alone fight it? Well, diagnosing and treating this infection is a huge clinical challenge. First off, the spores are tiny, just 3 to 4 micrometers long, and they're almost invisible with standard lab stains. You need special stains just to see them. For a definitive confirmation, you need an electron microscope. to see the unique internal parts, like the 8 to 11 coils of that polar tube we talked about. But really, the game changers have been molecular methods like PCR and metagenomic sequencing, which can spot the parasite's DNA directly in a tissue sample.
And this picture gives you a really good idea of what pathologists are up against. Right here, in this tissue sample, you can see all that intense inflammation caused by the parasite. Actually, finding the tiny spores hidden within all that chaos, that takes a really well-trained eye and the right tools.
So for treatment, internationally, the go-to drug is albendazole. It attacks the parasite's internal structure. For really severe infections, a more powerful drug called fumagillin can be used, but it comes with some serious side effects, like the risk of damaging bone marrow. Now, in a place like the Netherlands, where the parasite isn't common, it's seen as a potential import disease, a threat that could show up with international travelers, so their treatment strategy would just follow these same global standards. But here is the most important takeaway. No drug works that well on its own. The single biggest factor for a person's survival is immune restoration. This means doctors have to perform this terrifying balancing act. They have to carefully lower the patient's immunosuppressive drugs to let their own body fight back, all while trying to stop the patient's original condition, like their transplanted organ or their rheumatoid arthritis, from flaring up. It is a clinical tightrope walk with a life hanging in the balance.
You see, Anncaliia algerae isn't just the medical curiosity. It's a really stark example of an emerging threat that sits right at the intersection of environmental change, global travel, and modern medicine. Now, while the mosquitoes that carry it are found all over, severe human infections have, so far, tended to pop up in specific clusters. Coastal areas of New South Wales in Australia and parts of Pennsylvania in the US have been hotspots. This really suggests that there are specific environmental factors in those regions, probably related to mosquito breeding grounds, that play a key role in human exposure. All the research for this explainer was put together using a Gemini deep search. For anyone who wants to really dive deep into the science, you can find a whole list of all the papers and sources in the Notebook LM document that's linked right below. If you found this journey into the world of a microscopic parasite as fascinating as I did, please subscribe to the channel and let us know what you think in the comments. Your feedback really helps us bring more deep dives like this one to you. And that leaves us with a final and pretty unsettling question. The very medical advances that save transplant patients and control autoimmune diseases are also creating this new, growing population of vulnerable hosts. Anncaliia algerae might be one of the first pathogens to make this jump, but it probably won't be the last to emerge from the shadows of the natural world. So you have to wonder, what else is out there, just waiting for an opportunity?